Continuing with this theme of Obama using the presidential pardon at a historically low pace, here are some specific people that he can and should pardon. This is from Think Progress. They really compiled a really heartbreaking list here. There's a guy by the name of Weldon Angelos. He received a 55-year prison sentence for 3 small marijuana infractions and the possession of firearms that were not used or brandished. He's a father, and he was sentenced back in 2004. And as in so many other cases, the judge who sentenced him called the mandatory minimum term, quote, unjust, cruel, and even irrational, and went on to point out that defendants have received shorter sentences for hijacking planes, rape, and murder. So 55 years for 3 small marijuana infractions. 55 years for 3 small marijuana infractions. It's almost like I have to keep repeating it to even believe it, to get it in my head, because it's amazing. I mean, the system ruined this person's life. And Obama has the ability to pardon him, hasn't done it. Clarence Aaron simply introduced one drug dealer to another drug dealer, and now because the eventual exchange between those 2 dealers was a heavyweight deal, he was scapegoated for the entire deal, and other more key players who actually, took part in exchanging drugs and money, those guys snitched, and they were able to reduce their time because they cooperated, and they put it all on this guy, Aaron. And literally the smallest player in this drug exchange, you want to know how much time he's spending in jail? Triple life sentence. Just introduce one drug dealer to another, triple life sentence. Jesse Webster dropped out of school in 9th grade to help his mother pay the bills on the south side of Chicago. He became involved in a cocaine deal that was aborted before drugs ever even changed hands. After hearing he was wanted for questioning by the police, he turned himself in, and then they proceeded to convict him of possession, conspiracy, and filing false tax returns solely on the basis of testimony by his co-defendants. That's the important part here. He declined to become an informant for the police in exchange for a plea deal, and the reason why he did that is because he was worried that this would put his family members at risk. So the co-defendants received less than 5 years each because they did cooperate with the government, and Webster, who had no criminal record beforehand, was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Even the judge in the case said not only is the sentence too long and ridiculous, but he wrote President Obama requesting a pardon. The judge who had, and understand something, the judges who hand out the rulings in these cases here, their hands are tied by mandatory minimum sentences, which basically eliminates all human judgment. So even they're like, dude, you got to do something about this. This is ridiculous. President Obama, pardon him, do something, commute his sentence, do something. Obama hasn't done anything. Chris Williams, this is a guy who owned a medical marijuana dispensary in Montana that was in line with 100% of the state laws. He complied with every single state law. But the feds raided him anyway, shut down his place of business, and threw him in jail for 5 years. He's still in there. And for this one, I asked the conservative Republicans, where are you? You guys are the ones who pretend to care so deeply about states' rights. Well, here's a case where state law contradicts federal law, and the feds raided anyway. And Montana, they can't do anything because it's the supremacy clause of the Constitution that says federal law overrides state law. But if you believe in states' rights, you should be out there picketing for this guy, saying he did everything legally at the state level, so federal government, butt out. Obama hasn't done anything. Kenneth George Harvey Jr. This guy was convicted of possession with intent to distribute after a vial of crack cocaine was found strapped to his leg on his way out of an airport. So that's it, just a vial of cocaine strapped to his leg. And he got life without the possibility of parole. Now, why is that, you ask? Well, because the law before 2010 punished crack cocaine more than regular cocaine by 100 times. So understand, it's the same drug. Crack and cocaine is the same thing, just one is smokable, one is snortable. And 100 times tougher sentence for crack cocaine because the law was passed at a time when it was just openly racist laws, where they said, well, black people do crack, so punish them harsher than the white people who do cocaine. Now, in 2010, they reversed that, but this guy was sentenced before 2010, so he's serving life in prison for having a little bit of crack on him. Now, if President Obama actually believed in the things he was saying, how, oh yeah, we're too tough on drug criminals, we should probably decriminalize the substance, as he's alluded to before in the past, or at least just be a hands-off approach, and if the states want to do whatever they want at the state level, it's fine, the feds won't intervene, right? Well, if that's really how you feel, and you believe that as a matter of principle, and you should, because you did a lot of drugs your entire life, you admitted to it, you wrote about it, you spoke about it on Jay Leno's show, well, you should have the understanding to pardon people like this. In fact, I'd pardon every one of these guys and probably a hell of a lot more, because as the ACLU has shown, over 2,000 people are in federal jail for life because of non-violent offenses. I'd go through every single one of those files and pardon every single one that deserved it. And he's a hypocrite. That's what Obama is. He's a hypocrite.